Part 113. Insistence on Peace. The prophet then announced to the companions, "I swear by the one in whose hand is my soul, that the Quraysh will not stipulate any condition to respect the signs of Allah, that is, the sacred months, except that I will accept those conditions." In other words, the prophet will do whatever it takes to ensure that battle does not take place in order not to violate the sanctity of the sacred months. Despite the prophet insisting on peace, the Quraysh were planning a surprise attack. 80 of the Quraysh attacked the Muslims at Hudaybiyah before Fajr, but the Muslim scouts intercepted their movements, and the Muslims surrounded them. Following the prophet's strict instructions, they forced all 80 fighters to surrender without causing any bloodshed. The prophet forgave all 80 of them and sent them back to Mecca. The prophet clearly demonstrated once more his intention for peace. Allah revealed,
"He is the one who held back their hands from you, and your hands from them in the valley of Hudaybiyah near Mecca, after giving you the upper hand over a group of them. And Allah is all-seeing of what you do." Surah 48, verse 24.
The first man to act as a mediator was Budayl ibn Warqa, the chieftain of the Banu Khuzā, who were neutral. They were sympathetic to Islam but had not yet converted at this point. He approached the prophet and said,
"O Muhammad, I have just returned from the other side of Hudaybiyah, and I have left the sons of Ka'b and Amr ibn Lu'ay armed to the teeth."
Ka'b and Amr ibn Lu'ay were of the ancestors of the Quraysh, and Budayl's choice of describing the Quraysh in this manner was a form of respect. He continued,
"They are armed and are waiting to fight you, to prevent you from entering the haram."
The prophet responded, "We did not come to fight. Rather, we have come to show honor to the house of Allah, that is, to perform Umrah. Indeed, war has hurt the Quraysh, and if they wish, we can negotiate peace. But if they wish, I swear by the one in whose hand is my soul, that I will show them what we are capable of, and we will fight until my head is separated from my neck, and Allah decides the matter." An Arabic expression to mean, "we will fight to the death." The prophet then offered to wait if the Quraysh preferred to vacate the city, while the Muslims performed Umrah, so as not to create tension within the haram. Budayl approached the Quraysh to relay what the prophet said, but he was not officially chosen as a mediator, so he sought permission first. Ibn Ishaq commented,
"The foolish amongst them said, 'We have no reason to listen to you. You have nothing new to tell us.' But the people of intelligence said, 'Let him speak and tell us what he has to say.'"
Wisdom prevailed, and Budayl relayed the prophet's preference of peace but readiness to fight. He then added,
"O Quraysh, you are being hasty with this man. He has not come to fight. He has come to visit this house, honoring its sanctity."
The Quraysh responded,
"By Allah, we will never allow him to enter Mecca, while the Arabs say that he had the better hand over us."
The Quraysh's crime in this regard cannot be understated. The Kaaba was a haram for all, and the act of barring someone from venerating its sanctity was truly unprecedented. The Arabs would say,
"A man would see his father's killer performing tawaf, and he could not touch him."
The Quraysh, and every custodian of the Kaaba before the Quraysh, had never prevented anyone from visiting the Kaaba, especially to perform Umrah. Nevertheless, the pride and ego of the Quraysh could not tolerate the Muslims entering, as it may result in neighboring Arab tribes gossiping about their supposed weakness. Urwa ibn Mas'ud al-Thaqafi then volunteered to mediate. He belonged to the tribe of Thaqif in Ta'if, and thus enjoyed a brotherly relationship with the Quraysh. Urwa stood up and attempted to cajole the Quraysh.
"Am I not a father to you? Am I not a son to you?"
In other words, are we not still relatives? He continued, also reminding them of his history of helping and supporting them. The Quraysh finally caved and allowed him to represent them in the mediation. Urwa approached the Muslims, and the prophet repeated the same sentence emphasizing peace. Urwa, as if he did not register anything the prophet said, replied,
"O Muhammad, you say you are calling to Allah, but then you come with a group of unknown people. You break the ties of kinship, violate the sanctity of the haram, and intend to spill blood."
The prophet refuted his claims. "I have only come to fulfill the ties of kinship. I have come to change their religion for the better and make their lives better." Urwa said,
O Muhammad, if you attack them, have you heard of anyone destroying their own tribe before you? And if they attack you, then by Allah, I do not see dignified men around you. They seem to be a medley of different bandits, and they will flee at the earliest opportunity.
Suddenly, Abu Bakr al-Siddiq, the softest, kindest, noblest companion, yelled from afar the vilest, most abhorrent curse he could conjure. Urwa demanded,
Who is that?
Abu Bakr then shouted defiantly,
The son of Abu Kuhafa.
Urwa then said,
By Allah, if I did not still owe you for a favor, I would have responded in kind.
Abu Bakr never resorted to bad language when cursed or abused, but he could not tolerate the Prophet being insulted and his companions being accused of treachery. Urwa attempted to help, but due to not understanding the true essence of Islam, inadvertently aggravated the situation. He viewed the situation from a tribal lens, and the vast majority of the companions were not Qurayshi. Rather, they comprised mainly of the Aus and Hazraj, as well as converts from various other tribes. He did not understand the overriding power of Islam in creating an unparalleled bond of brotherhood. It was the custom of the Arab chieftains to gently grab the beards of their counterparts as a gesture of tenderness and brotherhood. Whenever Urwa would touch the Prophet's beard, a companion guarding the Prophet would smack Urwa's hand with the pommel of his sword. The blows would be harder each time until finally the guard said,
Get your hand away from the Prophet before it is cut off from its owner.
The companion's face was covered, so Urwa asked,
Who is this man?
It turned out to be his own nephew, Al-Mughira ibn Shu'bah al-Thaqafi. Urwa continued to try and persuade the Prophet, but to no avail, eventually returning to the Quraysh. Urwa narrated his experience to the Quraysh.
O people, I have visited kings and have entered the palaces of Caesar in Rome, Khusro in Persia, and the Negus in Abyssinia. By Allah, I have never seen any king shown more respect than the companions of Muhammad show Muhammad. By Allah, he did not even spit except that one of them would catch it before it reaches the ground and rub it over their body. He did not perform ablution except that they would fight each other to catch the droplets. If he commanded them to do something, he would simply raise his face and they would race to be the one chosen to fulfill the command. When he spoke, they lowered their faces before him, and none of them would even look at his face directly out of shyness and veneration.
Urwa's comprehensive transformation in a single hour is nothing short of miraculous. After initially accusing the companions of wavering in their belief and support, he began showering them with lavish praise of commitment and veneration. He continued,
If you wish the sword, then they will give you what you wish. I have seen a group that do not care what happens to them if their companion, that is, the Prophet, is harmed. By Allah, even the women amongst them will never hand him over, no matter the cost. Take my advice. I fear that you will not be able to win over him. And besides, he is a man who has come to this house wishing to honor it, bringing sacrificial animals, but is being denied and prevented.
Blinded by their arrogance, the Quraysh dismissed all that Urwa had to say. Urwa then left and took the tribe of Thaqif with him. The Prophet then sent Qurash ibn Umayyah from the tribe of Khuzā, as he was neither from the Ansar nor the Muhajirun. Though he was a Muslim, he had a degree of tribal neutrality. To further emphasize his intent for peace, he sent Qurash on al-Thalab, one of the Prophet's own camels. However, the Quraysh took badly to this and began attacking him, injuring al-Thalab and nearly killing Qurash. Another Khuzai eventually stopped the brawl and reminded the Quraysh not to spark tribal tensions with the Banu Khuzā. Qurash rushed back, and the ball was in the court of the Quraysh to send their own emissary. Eventually they sent Al-Hulayz ibn Alqamah from the tribe of Kinana, the largest tribe surrounding Mecca. As Al-Hulayz approached from a distance, the Prophet said to the companions, This is Al-Hulayz ibn Alqamah from the tribe of Kinana. They respect sacrificial animals, so bring out the camels. The Prophet himself had 70 camels to sacrifice for the poor of Mecca. Altogether, there were hundreds of camels ready to be sacrificed, and they were all brought out. Al-Hulayz approached, seeing all these animals ready to be sacrificed for the sake of Allah, as well as the Muslims in Iram chanting the Talbiyah, and he did not even enter the Muslim camp. He turned straight back to the Quraysh and said,
O people of Quraysh, we never allied with you to support such actions. Is it right to block the passage of those who intend to come and honor the house of Allah?
The Quraysh again replied arrogantly, calling Al-Hulays an ignorant Bedouin. Al-Hulays then left and took the Kinana with him. The Prophet then chose Umar ibn al-Attab. After numerous attempts of mediation, he chose an elite member of the Quraysh. However, Umar said,
O Messenger of Allah, my animosity towards the Quraysh is well known, and I fear that the Quraysh will kill me, as I do not have anyone from my sub-tribe to protect me. If you want me to go, I will go, but Uthman ibn Affan is more noble in their eyes than me.
Nobody can ever accuse the famously brave Umar of cowardice, so it is clear that Umar is suggesting this as a strategic maneuver. Uthman was the son of Abu Sufyan's cousin, so there was a familial link, and he was thus sent to the Quraysh to mediate. Uthman embarked to Mecca but was blocked at the entrance by a group of the Quraysh. They denied him entry and told him to return, but amongst them was his cousin, Aban ibn al-Said ibn al-As. Aban's heart softened towards his younger cousin, and so he promised Uthman protection in Mecca and allowed him to enter the city on Aban's horse. As he left, the Prophet instructed Uthman to visit all the struggling Muslim converts and inform them that Allah is aware of their situation and that He will make a way out for them soon.